What's up, everybody? My name is Grayson Reed. This is R&R Outdoors. I'm your host today. This is Ryan Gibson. He's the co-host, and our first guest speaker, Ryan Gilbert. Now they're going to tell you a little bit about themselves.
My name's Ryan Gibson. Been hunting for that part of 20 years. Pretty much, if it's in Virginia, I pretty much hunted it.
My name is Ryan Gilbert. Started hunting when I was about 8. Killed my first deer when I was 9. Do a lot of hunting and fishing. So that'll be it for me.
The reason we're here today, this is the first episode, first season. We just thought that it would be pretty cool to make our own stuff and actually talk about our knowledge in the woods. We usually listen to a bunch of podcasts of other people talking, gaining information from it. So we figured maybe we can kind of shed some information of what we took from those podcasts and kind of shed it on y'all. Also, disclaimer, y'all might see my dog pop up. She has severe separation anxiety from me, so she likes to be around me 24/7. So she might be popping up in the frame. But to start off with today, we're really going to be talking about coyote hunting since deer season's gone out now. The two boys, they've hunted a couple tournaments since the beginning of November, and they've done decently well in those. So we're kind of just going to go through how their outtake was on it from when they look back on it, what they should have done, how the coyotes were responding, and things like that. So, Rand, y'all recently had the Calvin's tournament. I know y'all traveled down to the end of South Carolina, almost to Georgia. I mean, how did the dogs react compared to hunting in Southeast Virginia?
Pretty much down there, it was pretty much a different ball game. Coyotes reacted a lot differently. They came to the caller a lot better than they do here for sure. I feel like we had a coyote within 1,000 yards,
Yeah.
and no road between us.
Yeah.
He was coming. Ended up killing 7 down there the first night. Should have been 9 for sure, probably 10. Had one stand, quad in the quad, and didn't get any killed. But other than that, I think we killed everything that came in. And it's a pretty good night. First time I ever saw land. First time ever being on the land. So all in all, I'd say it was a success down there.
Pretty flat. Real flat. A whole lot different than around here. More hills. We found that real quick. It's pretty hard to drag coyotes through dirt, sand. Yeah, like you said, called in a couple off rapid stress. Then things switched up real quick. Deep into the night, like you said, we called in a quad. Things didn't go our way. Then we made the truck 5 hours back at daylight. Got home about 11 o'clock. Slept a couple hours, got up and done it all over again.
Now, since this tournament was at the end, pretty much at the end of January, kind of middle way through January, could you kind of tell that the sound sequences that y'all were running through compared from like beginning of December through November have changed since they're going into breeding season? Or are they still kind of sticking to those same sounds that y'all were running through in November and December?
Yeah, personally, Ryan called the first half the first night. I called second half the first night and second night. I can tell coyotes definitely changed a lot. Through October, middle of October through end of December, I was running through a lot of distress heavy. Going into when I started running the call Saturday night, I noticed it kind of stopped responding to distress and went more into howls and vocals and bites. And that really seemed to kind of bring them in. Trying to think. I want to say every coyote we called in, but 2 of the last 10 we called in, I think came in off of a fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, the second night, he didn't see a dog after midnight. We saw 2, I'll tell you that. But Friday night, we called in quite a few off the stress, but that was out also in South Carolina. I don't think we called in a dog off stress Saturday night.
That just goes to show how different the land is and how responsive they are in different parts of the country. Like up here in Virginia, we hunt probably majority of the times it's within 30 to 45 minutes of the North Carolina border. And if, like they were saying earlier, they were calling in dogs from 1,000 yards away. And usually this time of year, they're getting closer to their dens and breeding. I mean, if you're not 400 to 500 yards from the coyotes, they're not coming in. They're just that stubborn. Now, that being said, compared to the other people in the tournament, I saw that a bunch of them killed majority foxes. Now, do you think that would be a key determining factor in placing better in the future for y'all, is to kill more foxes, or should it be to stick on the coyote side and try to bring in the numbers?
For me, Ryan, man, it's kind of a personal decision. It's kind of about what you have on the land you hunt. In our area, we have a higher population of coyotes than other people do in their areas. And some of those areas have higher population of foxes. For us, we don't have the fox population to keep up with foxes. We have to try to keep up with coyotes, just based on the point system here in Virginia. Have to keep up with killing coyotes to keep up with the amount of foxes they kill. We can go out and kill foxes at night, but I mean, even our good night, we're still going to get beat by there. So we try to sneak in a couple fox sets. We made 2, 3 fox sets and called in 7.
Yeah,
I think, but it's pretty. That was pretty much on land that doesn't hold coyotes, and foxes are abundant there. And we know that from years of hunting it, so we go in there knowing we're going to go there just to try to call in foxes. But we only make 2 or 3 of those sets, maybe 4 sets of those a weekend. Other than that, we stick with coyotes, trying to make up the points that we need.
Because I mean, what is it? The past 2 or 3 tournaments y'all played, y'all got beat out by foxes. Y'all brought in pretty decent numbers with coyotes.
these last 2 tournaments, we brought in 24 dogs and didn't place in either one of them. For the foxes. So we killed 14 one tournament, 10 the last tournament in Callums, 13.
Yeah, we killed 13 and 10, so we brought in 23. But I mean, that's just the name of the game. I mean, some people, like I said, if we had the number of foxes they have, we would be doing the same thing.
We would be doing right tight.
Yeah.
We would be doing pretty good.
It's just the name of the game. It's just one of those things. I think we brought in the first tournament we hunted. We brought in 13 coyotes and 4 or 5 foxes. Finished third. Second place team brought in 2 bobcats, 17 foxes, and 5 coyotes.
Yeah.
First place team brought in 26 foxes.
26 boxes, I think
8 coyotes. The second tournament we hunted, we came in 5th with 10 coyotes and 5 foxes, but we left. Mentioned earlier, we left 3 coyotes in that one set. Knocked another coyote down we didn't find. Missed one.
Had 3 foxes get away.
4 foxes, wasn't it? I think it was 4 foxes. I know it was 4 foxes.
Yeah.
Had 4 foxes get away, 2 bobcats. Couldn't get shots at them, and then had I think it was 7 coyotes total get away. So and a lot of that's just the terrain we hunt, kind of as Grayson mentioned earlier, with the hills, with where we hunt, and the terrain we hunt, we have a lot where if you're not watching very carefully, something can pop up from the wrong side, and when it does, you might only have a second or 2 to get on it, and if somebody's gun isn't already pointed that way, you've missed your opportunity. And it's just kind of the way it goes. If you want to call them in, you got to go there and take your chances on calling them in and them getting away versus not being called in the first place.
So there were there were definitely some mental errors in y'all's last tournaments, but I mean, it's hard to expect perfection every time you hunt. I mean, things are gonna happen. Every coyote is different. Every place you hunt is different. You never know what they're gonna do, and you just gotta. That's why you keep hunting is to try to gain more knowledge on what they do. So I mean, but still, putting up those numbers, and we've come such a long way from when we first started hunting. I mean, we first started with using red lights and shotguns, only hunting for foxes in little 100-yard fields surrounded by cutover. And we thought we were big time when we did that. And then we finally stepped up to the big game with thermals and venturing out. They are running suppressed, and that helps out a ton. It really does. Usually when you call in 2 dogs, they'll shoot the back one. And then if I don't run suppressed, if I'm with them, I'll shoot the front one. And I mean, it's just a game changer, really. How many, if you could put on a number, since you started running suppressed, how many more dogs have you killed compared to when you didn't?
It's a good number. It helps out in several different factors. When you're running suppressed, for the first 1 year when I was suppressed, Ryan and several other people hunt with me weren't. I would always shoot the back dog, and the front dog most time would run 20 to 40 yards and stop, and whoever else would shoot that dog. But it also makes a difference on solos. I mean, it's been several where you shoot, miss, and they run 50, 80, 100 yards and stop, and you kill them that shot. And that's something when you're not running suppressed, you don't get into. And it kind of just depends on if everybody's suppressed and we're in a tournament. I like to not shoot at running coyotes. Even if we call 2 out, shoot 1, kill it, don't kill the other one, which we do countdowns a lot now. But if you don't kill the second one, probably 60 to 80% of the time I can get it back out the field. We can get it back out the field to kill again. Might be a longer shot, 350, 400-yard shot, but I would rather take that shot than the running shot personally. Some people, if he's inside of 100 yards, sometimes we will take the running shot, but a lot of times, especially around here tournaments when they stop inside of about 300, most times they get shot. So a lot of times it's not that 100-yard shot. We're going to go ahead and shoot one
It also helps suppress when you get to a stand and there's one that maybe already in the field. I know plenty of times we've shot that dog or that fox and left him out there, and just went on made the set, and I've seen we call in a double or a triple. We typically will at least get another one out of that pack, but definitely running suppress helps for sure.
Yeah, there's a stand this summer. Walking in, saw a coyote, killed it. Walked by another 10 foot, saw another one, killed it. Set up, called in another coyote, killed it. Actually, we were going back to get the truck, and I was walking out to get the coyotes we had shot. Look, and here comes another one across the field, and killed it. So it was just one of those things where without a suppressor, when you shoot the first coyote at the field, you probably don't walk another 10 steps and see the second one out there. And that's also during the summer. It's a little different ball game than it is right now, but it's one of those things you don't run into without a suppressor probably.
In y'all's opinions, what is your favorite time of year?
Ryan, why don't you start this one off?
I'd probably just say November to January. Me personally, causing a lot of distress, but I will say this time of year, January to March, some guys like it. I like it a little bit, but I feel like it does get tough. From my experience, I feel like they're not as vocal as they are in those last 3 months of the year. I don't know about what you think, but typically January to end of February, you all will most likely call it a double. Typically, they pair it up that time of year. That happens generally if you kill the female, male's gonna run off a little bit. And he's gonna probably he's gonna stop or he's gonna come back. That's typically how it goes. But for me, like I said, November to probably December. That's my favorite time. What's your
I actually really like September, October time frame. If you get on that time frame and you can get in there with the coyotes, pups have kind of just dispersals happened. They got kicked out of the family group, and a lot of times it's pretty easy calling them in, and you can kill big numbers extremely quick during that time of year. The hardest part about this time of year, January, February, March time frame, is especially March. There's never March has the least amount of coyotes as any month throughout the year, because den season's going on. They're very territorial. With that being said, February and March is probably the most exciting stands you can have. Being so territorial, they can come in ready to fight, and you can have some very exciting stands. September, October, you used to have a lot of pups who just got kicked out. Mom and dad is not around, tell them not to come in. You can have very dynamic sets, and you can also have sets where you do call in those family groups of 6 to 8 coyotes. You can see those come across the field at the same time. That's why I really like September, October time frame. I mean, I feel like you can go out, hunt a full night. You might only kill on 4 sets, but you might kill 15 coyotes on those 4 sets. I mean, it's one of those things. Not that many. You might kill 10, 12 coyotes on those 4 sets. It's one of those things where you can pile up very quickly. And just this time of year, you got to kind of know where the coyotes are to get on them. If you don't, you better be in their bubble. Because if not,
you're wasting time.
Yeah. We're actually, me and Rand, we're making a trip at the beginning of March. We're gonna go down to some land that's really never been called before, and we're gonna see. We've been down there one time and kind of did a little locating, and they were hot, but that was at the end of December. So with it being the beginning of March, we're gonna see how much it affects them. But being on land that hasn't really been called, we're gonna see how the breeding season, how they've ended up, how that affects it. To really close it out, I wanted to talk about kind of the aspects of hunting, like around some of the land that we got first. From the time that we didn't really know what we were doing to still hunting it to this day. Like how, if you there's coyotes in there and you've hunted it, now knowing what you know, how much time should you allocate in between hunting and killing? Say you go in there, you call, and you miss one.
It depends on the time of year.
It depends on a lot of different factors. If you go in there and miss, unless it's somewhere where I feel like I can see him coming from a long ways, I try to give it at least 2 months. Unless he's a problem, I try to give plenty of time for him to forget about it and set up differently. But I mean, at the same time, I've gone in the next night, set up on the other side of a farm, a completely different setup, and played different sounds, and called. I'm sure it was the same coyote back in. It really just depends. If you can go up, his farm is big enough to hunt with a different setup and play different sounds than you called him in the night before. It's no different than calling him the first time. If you go out there and you make a howl, one howl, and he shows up at 150 yards and you miss, and pack it up and go back home, and go back the next night, set up, 500, 600, 700 yards away, and go into a rabbit stress or bird stress or anything else, he's liable to come right back on it. He has no association with that sound being a negative association with that sound. But it's for sure they get more educated on. We have land we hunt that share with other people, and I know last year I got a call from a landowner saying that they had a problem coyote. If I could come, take care of it. I go out there, howl one time, and I see the coyote's ears running across the skyline, and he was about 350 yards. And I watched him run all the way around over top of the knoll where I could just see his ears and his head every now and then. Went downwind, smelt me, barked, and left. And I mean, it's just that's stuff you run into this time of year, and
Our coyotes been called to.
yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. They get smart. Best way to kill a coyote like that is just sit out there and not make a sound.
Yeah.
If you get those out of the area, get fresh ears in. That's typically the best thing to do. And I mean, personally, I have farms that coyotes rotate in and out of frequently. I'll go in there and kill two, go kill a double, and then wait 2-3 weeks, go back, and there's 2 more in there. And I mean, it's like they've never been called for. But it's one of those things where that only works that well if you definitely kill both of them. If you kill one, that coyote still defends its territory, maybe not let another coyote in there. So until you get that one out that's been called to and educated, makes it a little more difficult to call them back in.
Brad, did you have any input on that? Or do you think you kind of summed everything up?
I think it summed it up pretty good.
There was a couple coyotes that definitely, well, being all hunters, that surprised me where they come from.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah. Me and Rand were all together one night, and we called it triple in. And I mean, they come. We called him at one time. We called him a solo. Come right in the back of that backyard. And I mean, he come out 30 yards in front of us. I mean, it's like he was sleeping in the backyard. So, I mean, if you don't locate, you really don't know truly where they're at. And that helps locating and knowing, you pinpoint exactly where they're at. Being able to set up in the field, watching your wind, and doing everything by the book, that will help out a ton too.
Yeah, locating. Next part about locating is definitely knowing what. Not all times of year serenade howl is the best thing to play. Sometimes you're better off with a lone howl versus a pair howl versus a serenade howl, just based on what time of year it is. But locating puts odds in your favor. I typically think almost every coyote has a bubble, and if you get inside that bubble, they are going to come. And it doesn't matter really what sound you play for the most part. That does make a difference, but if you get close enough, most of the time they will come. It really just depends on if you locate, it puts the odds in your favor. You can set up where based on the wind where you want to, moonlight where the coyotes are. You can kind of just change. You can get closer or further, and you can determine all of that by locating. So we do it a lot here in Virginia. If I go out of state hunting, some of the land I have out of state, we don't do anywhere near as much locating, really just for time purposes. But here in Virginia, pleasure hunting, most of the time I'm going to go locate a set to try to determine where they are, and if I'm calling 2 coyotes. I'd rather pleasure hunt and bounce around spot to spot, find some, and after doing it for a while, you can kind of tell by how they're howling whether you're going to kill them or not. I mean, it's coyotes that they'll howl, and you can just tell it's kind of they're saying, "Hey, we're here," and that's it. Sometimes we don't even go hunting. We'd rather just not play the sounds, come back another night when they're in the mood to come in.
Well, boys, y'all got anything else y'all want to talk about? Brad, from what we've already said?
Ryan, you got anything?
Well, thank y'all for going over here talking. Brad, hopefully we'll see you again. Y'all will see Rand again, hopefully. If they don't shut me out. But this is R&R Outdoors. We're just up and coming hunters. We've been trying to perfect our game. We're still a long way, but we're coming. So, thank y'all.